So let's start with reading part C. So remember, you will be answering 16 questions within a time frame of 30 to 33 minutes. And the best way to approach your reading part C is start with your question, understand your question, then look at your text, finally have a look at the options. So question, text, options. So this is the best way to approach your reading part C. Okay, so let's dive into today's material. So today's material is kind of, it's not difficult to understand, but it's a bit dry. The material is a bit dry and intense, but pretty straightforward. But the thing that might be confusing for you would be the options. So I need you to pay close attention. I need you to make your presence known in the class. And if you want me to explain, or if I'm not making myself clear, make sure to ask me, okay? Because the material is not as complicated as the ones that we have done before. It's pretty straightforward. However, the material and connecting it with the questions, especially the options, can be a bit tricky. Okay, and you might feel like, all the options are your answer, but you need to make sure that you read your options very well in order to eliminate the wrong ones and choose the most appropriate ones. So that part can be a bit tricky, but let's dive into it. Okay, let's start with the first question. Surya, if you don't mind, can you start with the first question for me, please? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. When Robert LangFort says that machine learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that.
Okay, so when Robert LangFort says that machine learning is not a silver bullet, he's making the point that. So they are not asking us to find out the meaning of this phrase, but what exactly do we need to find out here? When Robert LangFort says machine learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that. So we need to figure out
what point. The point.
What point is made? Oh, yes. What point is made
Robert.
by? Is made Robert. Yes, made by Robert. By Robert when he says
machine learning is not a silver bullet.
This is not a silver bullet. Machine learning is not a silver bullet. Okay. Learning is not a silver bullet. So let me tell you one thing. Then if I say, the new policy is not a silver bullet to deal with the issues, or if I say, for example, okay, the new traffic rule is not a silver bullet to take care of all the problems. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by when something is not a silver bullet?
Not enough.
No, very good. It's not enough, or it's so basically I'm saying that it's that this is not a when you say something is not a silver bullet, this is not a complete solution to a problem. Complete solution to a problem. But does it solve the problem to an extent? Yes, it does. But it's not a perfect or a complete solution to an issue. So remember that here the Robert says machine learning is not a silver bullet. So he's talking about machine learning not being a complete solution to an issue. But we need to figure out what exact point is he trying to make by saying that. So remember this, when something is not a silver bullet, we basically mean it's not a complete solution to an issue. Okay, keep that in mind. But okay, let's have a look at the paragraph. So I want all of you to get ready. I've numbered the paragraphs beforehand itself. So read the heading and read the first paragraph. All of you, come on. I hope it's visible to all of you. Yes, the first paragraph. Go through it. Come on. Can you read the first paragraph with the heading, Surya?
Yeah. predicting side effect of medication. A multi-institutional group of researchers has created an open source machine learning tool that offers a new method for developing faster medicine by identifying the potential adverse reaction side effects in new candidate medicine.
Okay, let me explain to you that. Okay, so this whole extract is all about predicting side effects of medications. How can we predict the side effect of a medication? Or can we do that? Is there any method to do that? That's exactly what we're going to have a look at today in the text. And the first sentence says that a multi-institutional group of researchers, that means researchers from different institutions, has those group of researchers has come up with an open source learning tool, machine learning tool. So that means open sources, it's accessible to public. It's an open to public learning tool that offers a new method, which is a new method for developing safer medicines. How do they do that? They identify, using this tool, they identify the potential possible side effects of medications. So a group of researchers from multiple institutions has created a machine learning tool that is able to identify adverse reactions to new medications. Okay, all right. Next sentence still here, Surya.
Yeah. One of the researchers, genetic expert Robert Letchworth, says machine learning is not a silver bullet for drug discovery. But I do believe it can be accelerate many different aspects in a difficult and long process of developing new medicines.
Okay, so one of the researchers who was involved in developing this machine learning tool, machine learning tool is kind of a software thing, right? So he says that, machine learning is not a silver bullet. What we have just come up with is not a solution, a perfect solution for dealing with discovering or inventing drugs. But he believes that this method, this tool can fasten the difficult and long process of coming up with new medication. So it's not a perfect solution to come up with a new drug discoveries. Rather, it can fasten the whole process. But it's not a complete solution. It's not a silver bullet. Okay, all right. Next last sentence, Surya.
Although it cannot predict all possible adverse effects, we hope that our work will help researchers spot potential trouble early on and develop safer drugs in future.
Okay, so then they say that although it can predict all possible adverse effects, so all the possible negative side effects this machine learning tool can predict, although it cannot predict all the possible adverse effects. Okay, it cannot predict every single adverse effect. But they hope that their work, this machine learning tool, will help researchers spot potential trouble early and develop safer drugs in the future. So although this tool cannot predict each and every side effect, it cannot do that, but they hope that this will help researchers to figure out possible problems early and come up with much safer drugs in the future. All of you go through it. So we need to figure out, by using this phrase, what point is the writer trying to convey. That's exactly what we need to figure out. And in the text, they say that many researchers, they together came up with a accessible to all kind of machine learning tool, which can identify, which is a method for developing safer medication, and by identifying the possible side effects. And one of the researchers, that is Robert Letchworth, he says that it's not a silver bullet, it's not a complete solution for our problem, but it does fasten the process of developing new medicines. And even though it cannot predict every single side effect, it can actually help researchers figure out any problems at an early stage and come up with safer drugs in the future. All of you go through it. So it's all about coming up with developing new drugs by identifying possible problems, side effects using a open source machine learning tool. It's not a perfect solution, but it fastens the whole process of coming up with a new drug. It cannot identify all possible side effects, but it can actually help the researchers are hoping that it will help them to figure out problems early on and develop much safer drugs in the future. Okay, so all of you, are you clear with this? Is it clear? Okay, so now let's have a look at our options. Okay, so Surya, can you read each option with the question? I want all of you to remember what we have read. Now, go on, Surya.
Yeah, when Robert Lettsworth says that machines learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that it will only be a partial solution to problems of developing new medication.
Is that what he means by when he says machine learning is not a silver bullet? Does he mean that machine learning is going to be only a partial solution, only not a complete solution, but a partial solution to the problems of coming up with a new medication? Is that what he means by it when he says that machine learning is not a silver bullet? Okay, so all right, and what do you guys think about that option? Maybe, right? Maybe, can be, but without looking at the other options, we cannot say. So come on, Surya, can you read the next options for me, please?
When Robert Lettsworth says that the machine learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that it is too early to be sure of its impact on the amount of research time required. No.
No, yes, he never said that right now. It's too early to say how much time we need to, how much time we need when it comes to the research to be sure of how effective this thing will be. He never said that it is right now. It's too early to be sure of how effective this machine learning is and on the amount of research time required. No, he never said that. So that's not it. Yes, next one.
When Robert Lettsworth says that machine learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that it is uncertain whether it will be help to simplify the medical research procedures.
Are they not sure whether it will simplify medical research procedures?
No.
Actually, they are sure. I'd say, yeah, they are not uncertain. They are sure. They know that it will fasten the medical research. Okay, 1 second. There is some issue with the video. I'll sort it out, but let's continue. So nowhere they are unsure whether it is helpful to take care of their whether it is helpful to simplify the medical research procedure. They are sure. Actually, they have said that this can actually fasten the research work. So C is not the answer. Okay, next option, Surya.
When Robert Lettsworth says that machine learning is not a silver bullet, he is making the point that it is unlikely to lead to the discovery of innovative new medication.
So it is unlikely, it is not possible to lead to the discovery of innovative new medication. Did he say that the machine learning will not, is unlikely, it may not lead to discovery of new medications? Did he say that?
No, ma'am.
No. So what is the answer? Answer is A. Answer is A. Okay, you need to carefully read it. All of you take a second. If any of the options do not, you're not understanding the meaning of any options, make sure to ask. I understand this is not an easy one. So all of you go through the options once again, go through the question and see why A is the best answer. It refers to machine learning. It refers to machine learning. It refers to machine learning. All of you go through it. Okay, so machine learning is a partial solution. See, they have said here, it cannot predict everything, but it can help us. So that means it's a partial solution. The last sentence, it cannot predict everything. Okay, then you may feel like, C, D is the answer. He never said that it's unlikely, it's not possible that it will lead to the discovery of new medications. Actually, it will help with the discovery of, but it's not a complete solution. That's what he said. He never said that it's unlikely to lead to the new discovery. Yes, it can fasten the process. It can help us develop the new medication for sure. But it's a partial solution. That's why A is the answer. So D is wrong. You might feel like, okay, it's not, it is possible. But what is that thing that's not complete? They cannot predict every side effect, but they can actually help us. It can make the process of developing new medications much easier. So they cannot say it's unlikely to lead. It can lead, But the only problem is it cannot predict every side effect. That is the problem. So that's why it's a partial solution. Okay, all right. I hope I've conveyed myself clearly here. Now let's go to next question. Smita, can you read the next one for me?
Yes, ma'am. What is the writer's purpose in second paragraph?
So of course we need to figure out the purpose of the second paragraph. Pretty straightforward. Purpose in the second paragraph. Okay, so I want you guys to read the extract carefully today because options can be a bit confusing. I need your full attention. Let's go and read the second paragraph. Here we go. All of you read the second paragraph. Okay, Smita, can you read the first sentence for me, please?
Yes, ma'am. Adverse drug reactions ranging from mild to fatal may occur when taking a drug as prescribed, as well as through incorrect dosages. The interaction of multiple medicines or off-label use, taking a drug for something other than what it was approved for.
Okay, so approved for. Okay, so here the writer starts with the negative drug reactions, and the writer is like, you know what, the negative drug reactions from mild reactions to life-threatening reactions may occur when you take the drug as prescribed. If you're following the correct dosage, also you can get mild to fatal reactions. And he's like, also if you take incorrect dosage as well, it can cause mild to fatal reactions. And if you take the medication, it can also come from taking the medications, taking multiple medicines at the same time, or of off-label use, when you use a medication for some other use than what it was approved for. So there is an intended use. So if you use a medication for not that unintended usage, or you use it for something that it's not suitable, then as well you can experience adverse drug reaction. So you can experience mild to fatal drug reactions if you're taking, even if you're taking the drug as prescribed, if you're taking the incorrect dosages, if you're taking too many medications at the same time, or if you're using a drug for the purpose for what it was not intended for, off-label use. All these can cause mild to fatal adverse reactions. Okay, all right. Next till here, Smita.
Yes, ma'am. In the USA alone, they cause 2 million hospitalizations each year and are a factor in up to 20% of hospitalizations according to research. Researchers have applied many tactics to avoid or at least minimize these issues. But because a single drug often interacts with multiple proteins in the body, not always limited to the intended targets, identifying which of these was responsible can be hard if a drug does cause an adverse reaction.
I need your full attention here. So the writer talks about adverse reactions, and in whatever scenarios it can happen, whether if you take as prescribed, if you don't take it as prescribed, if you take too many medications at the same time, if you use a medication for the use for another use other than what it intended for, all these scenarios you can get adverse drug reactions. And even only in the US itself, they cause, what are they here? They refer to adverse drug reactions. In the US itself, adverse drug reactions lead to 2 million hospitalization every year and are a factor in up to 20% of hospitalization according to the research. So 2 million cases, or 20% of the hospitalization cases, are due to negative drug reactions, which can happen due to all these reasons that he gave now. Now, researchers have tried to apply many techniques or tactics to avoid, or at least to minimize these side effect issues related to side effects. However, so researchers are trying their best. They are doing everything they can to either avoid side effects or minimize the side effects. But the problem is, a single drug often interacts with multiple proteins in the body. So when you take a medication, it interacts with a lot of things in the person's body, and it's not always limited to the intended target. So every drug has a target to achieve in our body, but when a drug enters our body, it's not limited to that target. It is not, it does not only react to that particular target. So its reaction is not limited to the target that its usage is intended for. Rather, it can react with multiple proteins. And understanding which of these proteins are responsible which of these targets, not proteins, which of these targets are responsible can be difficult if a drug does cause an adverse reaction. So when we give a patient a drug, we want that drug to interact with a particular target. But but what happens when a drug enters our body? This interaction is not only limited to one target that we want that to interact with. Rather, it might end up interacting with multiple targets or multiple proteins in the patient's body, and it's very difficult to understand which of these targets that it has interacted with is responsible for a particular problem. Okay, and last sentence, Smita.
Yes, ma'am. The same goes for predicting what, if any, side effects may happen.
So it's difficult to identify which is responsible for a side effect, and more than that, it's also difficult to predict what side effects may happen. Okay, so side effects can, from mild to fatal side effects can happen due to a variety of reasons, and 2 million to 20% of hospitalization in the USA alone happens due to adverse drug reactions. Researchers are trying their best to avoid or at least minimize these reactions, but a single drug, when it enters a patient's body or person's body, it interacts with multiple protein, and its interaction is not limited to the target that it's intended to interact with. Rather, it might end up interacting with many targets, and it's difficult to identify which is that one target that's responsible for the problem. More than that, it's also difficult to understand, or it is also difficult to predict what side effects may happen. If any side effects happen, it is difficult to identify exactly what side effects may happen. All of you go through the extract. Don't forget, when we go to the options, you cannot forget what you have read. So form a map in your mind about the second paragraph. It talks about variety of drug reactions and their causes, and how to what extent hospitalizations are due to proportions of hospitalizations due to this one drug reactions, and how researchers are trying their best, but drugs often interact with multiple targets even though it's intended for one target, and it's very difficult to find out which target is responsible for the problem. More than that, it's difficult to predict what side effect may happen. Okay, all right, keeping that in mind, let's have a look at our options. Smita, so we need to figure out the purpose in the paragraph. So Smita, can you read every option one by one?
Yes, ma'am. Option A, to describe some recent trends in the numbers of adverse drug reactions.
In the paragraph, did the writer mention any recent trends in the number of adverse reactions? Any recent trends? No. You will be like, ma'am, they talked about USA, but they never said what happened in the USA is recent. They just said in USA, 2 million and 20% of hospitalized patients are due to drug reactions. That's it. They never mentioned that it's a recent trend. So we cannot take A as the answer. Next option.
Option B, to summarize the difficulties involved in reducing adverse drug reactions.
Have they summarized? Have they, in a very concise way, have they explained to us the problems involved in reducing adverse drug reaction? How difficult it is to reduce side effects? Have they mentioned that?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, all right. Next one, Smita.
Option C, to improve prescribing practices in order to reduce adverse drug reactions.
Have they mentioned in that paragraph, did they say that we need to improve how we prescribe medications in order to reduce adverse drug reactions? How we prescribe medications, have they commented on that? No. Okay, last option.
Option D, to outline various methods that have been used to reduce adverse drug reactions.
Have they outlined? Outline means explained. Have they explained various methods that they have used to reduce adverse reactions?
No.
Have they outlined the methods that they use to reduce drug reactions? Methods? No, they just mentioned researchers are trying their best to avoid drug reactions or reduce. But what methods they use, nowhere it's explained. So Smita, Surya, others, Nivya, Manju, what is our answer? Ashwini, what's our answer?
Option D.
B.
They've summarized the difficulties, right? What are the difficulties? One thing, if you take the medication appropriately, you can have drug reactions. If you take the wrong dosage also, you can have drug reactions. If you see the first sentence, come on. If you are taking multiple medications and their interactions can cause drug reactions, and if you use it, off-label use can cause drug reactions, and once a drug enters our body, it can interact with multiple proteins, even though it has an intended target, and it's difficult to identify which one is responsible for a drug reaction, and it's also difficult to predict any side effects. So what exactly is listed there? Basically, the writer is summarizing problems involved in reducing adverse drug. Is it easy to reduce drug reaction? It's not, because too many things are involved. If correct dosage, if you take, it's a problem. Incorrect dosage, if you take, it's a problem. If you use it for some off-label use, it's a problem. And if when you take the medication, it can interact with multiple proteins. So, and it's very difficult to understand which interaction is responsible for the negative reaction. So all these are difficulties involved in reducing adverse reactions. Smita, Manju, Ashwini, others, Surya, others, did you guys get the answer? Did you guys understand why option B is the best? Okay, all of you go through it.
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so you need to be very careful. Today, I told you today's options are tricky. You cannot forget what you have read. Okay, so this is because when we read the option first, all of you were like, no, it's not the answer. Actually, it is the answer. Okay, so take a second, go through the options. Once again, go through the options. And when it comes to option A, you will be like, they have mentioned the trends, and they have mentioned about USA. Yes, they have mentioned about USA, but nowhere they have said it's a recent trend. They just said 2 million hospitalization and 20% of hospitalization. Be very careful. Okay, go through it. Come on, go through it. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Okay, Nivya, can you read the next question?
Okay, ma'am. What does the writer say was unusual about the hackathon following Laszlo Urban's presentation?
What does the writer say was unusual about hackathon? Hackathon, we have heard marathon, right? Marathon is when too many people come together and they do a race, running race. That's called marathon. But hackathon is when hackathon is, you've heard of the phrase computer hacking and stuff, right? So that's a process where they use softwares to hack into or to understand things very much related to softwares and all those things. So when too many people who knows about computers, they come together and or together they try to accomplish something related to computers. That's what we call as hackathon. Hackathon. Okay, it's compare it with a marathon. Marathon is when too many people who are interested in running come together and run. So in the same way, hackathon is when too many people who knows about computer related hacking, algorithm, software, everything, when they come together and they do something, some activity, that's what we call as hackathon. So now read the question. What does the writer say was unusual about the hackathon following Laszlo Urban's presentation? Following means after. So what do we need to figure out? Look at the question. Come on, look at the question.
The unusual thing.
Unusual thing. Yes, unusual thing. All of you correct. Unusual thing. Unusual thing that happened about unusual thing about the hackathon, about the event. Hackathon is the event. Hackathon that happened after. Okay, I have spelled it wrong. Okay, hackathon after Laszlo's presentation. So Laszlo gave a presentation. After his presentation, what was unusual about the hackathon? If the hackathon is the event, what was unusual? The unusual thing, unusually strange, or something that's not common, something that's not usual. Okay, so let's understand. Let's read the paragraph. Okay, all of you go through the third paragraph. Come on. Okay, Nivya, can you read this sentence, first two sentences for me, please? Okay.
Okay, ma'am. The project was born 3 years ago when pharmacologist Laszlo Urban gave a presentation on some of the problems his team faces when assessing the safety of new drug candidates. A group of graduate and postdoctorate students then participated in a hackathon, an event in which people meet to carry out computer programming together.
Okay, so they created a project 3 years ago when pharmacologist Laszlo Urban, that's his name, he gave a presentation on some of the problems, some of the issues that his team faced when they were evaluating the safety of some new drugs. Okay, so Laszlo's team was trying to understand assess some new drugs, and they faced a lot of issues. Based on that, a project was born. Okay, and in this one, a group of graduate and postdoctorate students who are trying to be doctorates, take their doctorate, those students participated in a hackathon. Hackathon is an event where people who are interested in computer programming come together and do tasks. Okay, so these graduates and postdoctorate students, they came together and participated in a hackathon. Okay, all right. Now till the end, Nivya.
Okay, ma'am. The aim was to apply their knowledge of data science and machine learning to the problem of creating an algorithm that could possibly predict adverse reaction to medication. Most of the time, such projects simply end up as learning exercise. But on this occasion, the interaction of scientists from different institutions actually generated a novel application published in a highly respected journal.
Okay, so the aim was to apply their knowledge, the knowledge of the people like graduate and postdoctorate students, all of their knowledge of data science and machine learning and to create an algorithm that could possibly predict, a computer software that could predict negative reactions of a medication, the side effects of a medication. That's what that was their goal was that. Okay, they were trying to come up with whatever their machine learning knowledge or knowledge on data science. With that, they were trying to come up with an algorithm, come up with a software that could predict the possible adverse reactions to a medication. And they're like most of the time, usually these types of projects just end up as a learning exercise. Like nothing much happens. It's just a learning opportunity. That's how it ends usually. However, on this occasion, but during this hackathon, the interactions of scientists from different institutions actually generated a novel application, a new application that ended up being published in a highly respected journal. So Laszlo's team, they found out that they were having problems when they were trying to evaluate new drugs. So what happened? There was 3 years ago, a group of graduate and postgraduate students. They came together for a hackathon to work on their computer programming, and their aim was to apply whatever knowledge that they have to predict adverse reactions of a medication. So most of them, usually such projects, they end up as just a learning exercise. Nothing much happens. But this time, their interactions led to a novel application being developed, and that was published in a highly respected journal. All of you, come on, go through it. Extract is pretty straightforward, not that difficult to understand. Come on, go through it. The only new word is hackathon. Hackathon is when people who are interested in computers and computer programming software or the whole thing comes together and do tasks and things. That's called hackathon. Okay, all right. Now let's have a look at our options. Nivya, so this is a complete question. Can you just read the options one by one? We need to figure out the unusual thing about the hackathon. Come on, Nivya, can you read the options?
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Option A, the backgrounds of those that were involved.
What do you guys think? Was the backgrounds of the people involved, was that the unusual thing? The people involved in the hackathon,
No,
their
ma'am.
backgrounds? No, nothing. They just said postgraduate, graduate, and postdoctorate students. That's it. They never said their background was unusual. No. Next one.
The speed with which it was carried out.
What does it refers to? It refers to the hackathon. It was so the speed in which they carried out the hackathon. Was that the unusual thing about it? What do you guys think? the speed of the hackathon, the speed of the event, was that unusual?
Not mentioned. Ma'am.
No, they never mentioned anything about the speed. So not A, not B. Next option, Nivya.
Option C, the fact that it achieved a worthwhile result.
Is that the unusual thing that this hackathon was able to achieve a worthwhile, a good result, a valuable result? What do you guys think? Maybe. Yeah, it can be. Last one.
Option D, the educational benefits for participants.
Did they mention anything about
No.
educational benefits?
No.
No.
Option
So
C.
all of you correct. Ashwini, you are also correct. Answer is option C. Right? They told usually it ends up as learning exercise, but this time it ended up, it led to the development of a novel application that got published in a journal. So that's why this hackathon this time was able to achieve some result. Okay, all of you with me so far? Is the 17th question clear? Answer clear? Okay, all right. Now let's move on to the next one. Okay, all right. So Surya, can you read the next one?
Yes, ma'am. The expression connect to the dots refers to.
You need to figure out what does the expression connect the dots mean. Okay, the expression connect. We need to figure out what the expression means. Okay, the expression is, what does the expression connect the dots refer to? What does the, so it's a vocabulary question, right? What does the expression connect the dots? Dots refer to. Okay, so yeah. So whenever you get a vocabulary question where you need to find out what is something, reference question is a reference question. What you need to do is just read the sentence with the phrase and the sentence above and below it. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. So one second. Give me a second. Let me just take the sentence. So this is the sentence that has this one. Okay. One second. This is the sentence with the vocabulary. So please read the sentence above it, that would be this one, and below it. So till here, all of you read from here till here. Whenever you get a vocabulary question to find out what does it refer to, read the sentence with the vocabulary, the sentence above it, and the sentence after it. Go ahead, come from here till here. Okay, can you read the sentences for me, please? Yes.
Yeah. Following publications, the team began to work on its machine learning algorithm and applied it to large data sets. One from the pharmaceutical company concerning the proteins that each of them 2000 drugs interact with, and one of them the US Food and Drug Administration, covering 60,000 physician reports to adverse reaction in patient.
So I want one second. Let me explain that. So they talked about the hackathon, right? They developed an app and they published it. So now, in connection to that, they're saying after the publication of their work, the team, the people involved, began work on its machine learning algorithm. So they started working on this computer algorithm and tried to apply that algorithm, that software, to two large data sets, two sets of data. Okay, so whatever algorithm that they developed, they began working on it and tried to apply that software into two different data sets. That means data means information, two different pieces of information sets. One of those data set was from a pharmaceutical company related to the proteins that each of 2000 drugs interact with. So they applied algorithm to two studies. One was where a pharmaceutical company's data on proteins that interacted with 2000 medications. Okay, that was one set of data where they applied their algorithm, and the another set of data came from US Food and Drug Administration, and it covered 600,000 physician reports about side effects of negative drug reactions in patients. So they developed an algorithm and they applied that algorithm to two different sets of studies or two different sets of data. One collected from a pharmaceutical company which talked about proteins that interacted with 2,000 medications, and another one they applied it to another study as well, which was from the US Food and Drug Administration, which covered 600,000 reports came from doctors about negative drug reactions in patients. Okay, now next sentence, Surya.
As it learned from the data.
No, this one.
Oh, sorry. The computer algorithm was unable to connect the dots between them.
Was
As
unable or was able? Look at that. Was able.
Was able to.
So I want all of your attention here. The computer algorithm was able to connect the dots between them. Them refers to what? Come on. Them refers to what?
Two sets of
data. So when you connect the dots between two sets, what are we trying to do? When you connect the dots between two things, what are you trying to do? We are able to connect those ideas. Okay, so here them refers to two sets of data taken from pharmaceutical company and taken from Food and Drug Administration in the US. So the computer algorithm, they applied the algorithm to two sets of studies, and the algorithm was able to connect those studies. Okay, next sentence, Surya. Yeah, next sentence.
As it learned from the data, the algorithm unearthed 221 association, which indicated which protein may be represent drug target that currently contribute to particular side effects.
So one second. Yeah. As it learned from the data, as the algorithm learned from the data, the algorithm came up with 221 connections which indicated which proteins may relate to drug targets that contribute to particular side effects. So they applied the application. They applied their algorithm to two sets of data and was able to find out the connection between the both, and the data, and whatever the algorithm got from the data, the algorithm was able to come up with 221 connections that showed what proteins affected what drug targets and how it contributed to side effects. So the connection, they were able to connect both studies, and the algorithm was able to understand 221 connections. Associations means connections, which showed what proteins connects to what drug targets and what contributed to particular side effects. Okay, all of you go through it. Come on. So the team worked on applying the algorithm that they developed into two different data sets, one from pharmaceutical company, one from the US Food and Administration, and they were able to connect the dots between these two. And as the algorithm learned, it was able to come up with 221 connections between proteins and certain drug targets, and they were able to find out what contributed to certain side effects. Okay, all right. Now let's have a look at the question. So can you read each option with the question for me, Sudha?
Yeah, the expression connect the dots refers to confirming already suspected causes of adverse reactions.
Did they say that when they were talking about connect the dots, did they say that it is confirmed what they had already suspected, what they had already believed about the causes of adverse reactions? Did they say that? Whatever they already knew, it confirmed it. No, that's not said. Okay, next one.
The expression connect to the dot refers to finding potential new types of adverse reaction.
Did they say that we found out new types of drug reactions? No. Next one.
The expression connect to the dot refers to grouping harmful substance responsible for causing adverse reaction. No.
Did they say that we were able to categorize substances responsible for adverse reactions?
No
categorization, nothing. Okay, so of course answer is D. Can you read option D?
Yeah, the expression connect to the dot refers to identify link between results from two research product into adverse reactions.
Right, two research projects. One was from a pharmaceutical company that talked about the different things, I think proteins and their connection to drugs, and the another one was about reports by doctors on drug reactions. So this whatever, when they applied the algorithm, they were able to connect the dots between these two studies. So they were able to identify the connection between these studies into adverse reactions. So that's why D is the answer. This is pretty straightforward. So I hope this is clear. Quickly go through it. I'm moving on to the next question. Before that, quickly go through it. Come on. Yes, okay. All right, now let's move on to the next question. Okay, all right, 1 second. Yeah, Jasmine, would it be okay for you to read the 19th question for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
In the fourth paragraph, the writer says that Lang knew their algorithm was effective because.
Whenever any incorrect, I mean, incomplete question ends in because, we know we need to figure out the reason. So in the fourth paragraph, the writer says that the team, knew their algorithm was effective because. So we need to find out
What is the reason?
what is the reason, what is the reason, or yeah, what is the reason, or why? Let's go with why. Why did the team know? Did the team know that their algorithm was effective? What made them think that their algorithm was good? It was effective. The reason for that. Why did the team think that the algorithm was effective? Why did the team? I forgot to write the team. Why did the team know that their algorithm was effective? Okay, why did they think that, okay, whatever the algorithm that they've come up with, it's effective? What is the reason for that? Why did they believe that? Okay, all right, let's go and read the paragraph. Okay, all right, all of you read the the remaining of the fourth paragraph. It is from the same paragraph. We have already read about the connecting the dots between two studies. Now read from here to here. Okay, Jasmine, can you read these two sentences for me, please? Yes.
Okay, ma'am.
From here.
Crucially, the information generated by the algorithm. Crucially, the information generated by the algorithm about how individual proteins or the gene that make them contribute to documented adverse reaction was statistically robust.
Okay.
Many of the results supported previous observations, such as the fact that certain drugs binding to the protein.
Okay, Jasmine, yeah, Jasmine, your voice is breaking, so let me read it. So, okay. Okay, many of the results supported previous observations, such as the fact that certain drugs binding to the protein HERG can cause cardiac
arrhythmias.
arrhythmias.
Finding like this strengthened the researchers' confidence that the algorithm was performing well.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. So we already read, 1 second. We already read that crucially means, I'm sorry, we already read that after the results of the study was published, they applied the software into two studies, and they were able to find out the connections between both studies. Now it moves, the paragraph goes on to say that crucially, most importantly, the information generated, the information came by the information that was developed by the algorithm about how individual proteins or the genes that make the protein contribute to adverse reaction was statistically robust. So the algorithm found out that there are some individual proteins or the genes of those proteins can result in an adverse reaction. That idea was robust, was statistically correct, was statistically strong. That means, most importantly, the fact that the algorithm found that proteins and the genes of those proteins lead to certain side effects. That aspect, that idea was statistically robust. That was a really strong idea. Okay, that was one of the most important thing about the this one. Many of the results supported previous observations, such as the fact that certain drugs binding to the protein HERG can cause cardiac arrhythmia. So whatever when they applied these algorithm, whatever results that they got, many of those results supported previous observations, previous results that they've got, such as they previously they knew that certain drugs that bind to the protein HERG, certain drugs that connects with the protein HERG can cause the side effects such as cardiac arrhythmias. So all these was actually found out previously in previous studies. That exact same thing was confirmed by this study as well. And results like this strengthened the researchers' confidence that algorithm was performing well. So when they saw that, this study also confirmed, or many results, many findings of this study was also similar to previous studies. They were sure that this algorithm was performing well. Okay, so this algorithm found out that many individual proteins and genes of those individual proteins are responsible for adverse reactions. And these findings, many of these findings that this study gave, that supported previous observations. For example, previously they had found out that certain drugs that bind with HERG protein can lead to cardiac arrhythmias. Such observations were confirmed by this study. Okay, and findings like this, such confirmations made them to believe, made the researchers believe that trust that the algorithm was performing well. All of you go through it. Come on, go through it. All of you, come on. So we need to figure out, why did the researchers believe that their algorithm was effective? So the algorithm found out individual proteins and genes of those proteins resulted in adverse reactions, and that idea was a statistically it was a strong fact, because and many of the results of this study supported previous observations, such as cardiac arrhythmias can be caused if certain drugs binds with HERG protein, and such findings made the researchers believe that, or made the researchers stress that the algorithm was performing well. Okay, let's go to the options. Okay, all right. Jasmine, would you be able to read the options? Is the network okay? All right, that's okay. I'll read the options. In the fourth paragraph, the writer says the team knew their algorithm was effective because its findings were supported by the information from government sources. What do you guys think? Come on, all of you. Smita, Surya, what do you guys think? It's means algorithm. No, nowhere they've mentioned about government sources, right? They never said the findings of the algorithm supported information from government sources. Not said. So that's not it. Let's look at the next one. In the fourth paragraph, the writer says that the team knew their algorithm was effective because it agreed. It refers to the algorithm. The algorithm agreed with findings from pharmaceutical manufacturers' own research. What do you guys think? Did they talk anywhere there? Did they say that the findings, whatever they found, it matched with the research conducted by pharmaceutical manufacturers? No. So let's have a look at the next option. In the fourth paragraph, the writer says that the team knew their algorithm was effective because it confirmed a number of findings from existing research projects. Maybe it can be a very good possibility there, but let's have a look at the last option as well. In the fourth paragraph, the writer says that the team knew their algorithm was effective because it passed a number of external analytical checks on its findings. Anywhere did they say about external analysis? No. So of course answer is option C. Okay, all right. Now, let's have a look at the 20th question. Smita, can you read the 20th question for me?
Yes, ma'am. What does the writer say was unexpected about the findings regarding the protein PDE3?
So we need to figure out, what does the writer say was unexpected about the findings regarding the protein PDE3. So we need to find out what?
What is the unexpected thing?
Unexpected aspect about the findings
regarding the protein.
Findings regarding the protein PDE3. protein. So they are talking about some finding related to protein PDE3, and there is something unexpected about it. What is that? That's what we need to figure out, the unexpected aspect about the findings regarding the protein PDE3. So let's read the next paragraph and figure that out. Get ready. Here we go. All of you go through the 5th paragraph. Come on. Carefully read it, understand it. Okay, Smita, can you read the first 2 sentences still here for me, please?
Yes, ma'am. Some of the results generated by the algorithm were unexpected. For instance, the algorithm suggested that the protein PDE3 is associated with over 40 adverse drug reactions.
Okay, 1 second. So I want you guys to remember, whenever associated comes into the picture, don't be like associated does not mean accompanied. It means connected to. Associated with means connected to or related to. Remember that, okay? It does not mean accompanied by or along with. That is different, okay? Associated with means related to, connected to, linked with. That's the meaning, okay? So we are still talking about the algorithm. So some of the findings that the algorithm developed were unexpected. Some things were not expected. Let's see what are those. For instance, for example, the algorithm suggested that the protein PDE3 is related to over 40 adverse drug reaction. And the algorithm was like, you know what? Around 40 of the negative drug reactions are connected to the protein named PDE3. Okay, so now let's read the next sentence. Can you read till the end, Smita?
Yes, ma'am. Doctors and researchers have known for years that PDE3 inhibitors, common anti-clotting treatments for acute heart failure, stroke prevention, and cardiogenic shock, can cause arrhythmias, low platelet counts, and elevated levels of enzymes called transaminases, a possible indicator of liver damage. But it wasn't known that targeting PDE3 might expose patients to so many other adverse reactions, including some related to the muscles, bones, connective tissues, kidneys, urinary tract, and ear.
So I want all of you to focus here. So they were like, the algorithm also found out some unexpected things, especially about the protein PDE3 and its connection to 40 different negative drug reactions. And the doctors and researchers have known for years. They've already known for many years. They already had the knowledge for many years that the protein PDE3 inhibitors, they are the common drug treatment for acute heart failure, stroke prevention, and dealing with cardiogenic shock. The common treatment that is PDE3 for PDE3 inhibitors that is used to treat anti-clotting of acute during heart failure, stroke prevention, and cardiogenic shocks that can cause arrhythmias, low platelet counts, and elevated levels of enzymes called transaminases, a possible indicator of liver damage. So they already knew, the researchers and doctors involved, they already knew that PDE3 inhibitors, that's a medication used to treat acute heart failure, stroke prevention, or cardiogenic shock, that medication can cause problems such as arrhythmias, low platelet counts, elevated levels of transaminases, which is an indicator of liver damage. But what they didn't know that was that targeting PDE3, focusing on PDE3 might, or if they try to use treatments that targeted, that focused on PDE3, that might expose patients to, that might put patients at risk for many other adverse reactions. So they knew about how they use this treatment for anti-clotting treatment when it comes to acute heart failure or stroke prevention and all those things. And they knew it had some side effects. But what they didn't know was targeting PDE3 protein. When they treat the patients, when they target PDE3 protein for treatment, that might put patients at risk of getting other reactions, such as some affecting the bones, affecting the muscles, affecting the connective tissue, affecting kidneys, urinary tract, and ear. So all of you go through it. So some of the results that they got was unexpected. One such thing was something related to PDE3 and its connection to at least 40 different drug reactions. Researchers already knew that, you know, PDE3 treatments can cause certain side effects. But what they didn't know was PDE3 treatments can put patients at risk of other adverse reactions, such as muscles, bones, such as the ones that affect muscles, bones, connective tissue, kidneys, so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward to understand. All of you, come on, go through it. Come on. Okay, we need to figure out unexpected aspect about the protein. Okay, all right. So, Smita, can you read one by one the options?
Option A, the wide impact it has on the functioning of the body.
It refers to what here? It refers to protein PDE3. The wide impact, the wide effect the protein has on the functioning of the body. Is that the unexpected finding, that the wide impact, the broad impact, broad effect the protein has on the functioning of the body? Is that the unexpected finding?
No, ma'am.
No. Next option.
Option B, the implications for patients with reduced levels of it.
It again refers to protein PDE3. So, is the unexpected finding is the implications, the effect of the for patients with less levels of protein PDE3. Have they talked about patients who have less levels of protein? No. Okay. Next one.
Option C, the severity of the side effects that it can cause in some drugs.
Have they talked about how protein PDE3 can, how severe or how protein PDE3 can cause some severe side effects for some drugs? Did they talk about PDE3 and some drugs?
No, ma'am, only one.
No. They talked about treatment related to PDE3. They did not talk about PDE3 and the severity of the side effects when it comes to some drugs. No. So, of course, answer is option D. Can you read it?
Yes, ma'am. The number of health risks that can be associated with treatments related to it.
Right? They talked about the unexpected finding was they already knew certain side effects, but what was, what they didn't know was, what was unexpected was the number of other health risks connected to the treatments of PDE3, right? When the treatments focused on PDE3, it put patients at risk of a variety of other side effects. They didn't know that. So that's why D is the answer. Very good question. All of you go through it. And remember, please don't read parts of the options and match. Okay, they have talked about body parts. No, that does not make A your answer. Read the option completely. The wide effect of PDE3 on the functioning of the body. It refers to, whenever you have options, you need to understand it refers to here protein PDE3. That changes the meaning. That changes the whole thing. So you need to read it carefully. Nobody talked about patients with low levels of PDE3. Nowhere they have mentioned about some drugs and the severity of the side effects when it comes to protein PDE3 and some drugs. No. Okay. But they talked about, they knew some health risks, but they didn't know the number of other health risks, a variety of other health risks affecting urinary tract, ears, kidneys, muscles, so on and so forth. So that's why D is the answer. We just have 2 more questions to go. So let's go to the next question. Nivya, can you read the next question for me?
Then in the 6th paragraph, the writer makes the point that the computer algorithm.
So we need to, so the writer makes the point that the computer algorithm. So we need to find out what point does the writer, right? The writer makes a point. We need to figure out what point does the writer make about. Make about what? Make about computer algorithm. Very good, computer algorithm. Okay. All right. What point does the writer make about computer algorithm? Let's read the paragraph. It's 6th paragraph, right? Get ready. Here we go. Okay, second last paragraph. Okay, small paragraph. Take 55 seconds. Quickly go through it. Okay, all right. Nivya, can you read till here for me, please?
Okay, ma'am. Based on what it has already learned, as well as strengthened by as much new data as researchers can feed it, the algorithm appears to have raised the prospect that a potential new drug will prove safe or for patients both before and after pharmaceutical companies bring it to market.
Okay, I want all of you to go through that sentence. Raised the prospect means brought the possibility. Brought the possibility. Okay, likelihood, brought the possibility. Okay, based on what it has already learned. It refers to what does it refers to here? It refers to the algorithm, the software. Okay, so based on what the algorithm has already learned, so already the already existing knowledge of the algorithm, based on that, as well as strengthened by as much new data as researchers can feed it, and strengthened by as much as data that it was fed, it was given by the researchers, as much as new data. So whatever it has already learned, and whatever the researchers, whatever new information the researchers fed the software, the algorithm appears to have brought the possibility that a potential new drug will prove safe for patients both before and after pharmaceutical companies bring it to market. So based on what it already knows and what new information it has been given by the researchers, the algorithm has come up with the possibility that a possibility of a potential new drug that will be safe for patients before and after the companies bring it to the market. Before it reaches the market and after it reaches the market, in both stages it will be safe for the patient. So such a prospect, such a possibility of such a drug has been raised by the software, which has already learned, which based its knowledge on what it has already learned and whatever new data it has been fed by the researchers. Last sentence, Nivya.
Okay, this matters because it is something which could reduce the risk that study participants face during the first in human clinical trials, as well as minimizing risk for patients once a drug is approved for clinical use.
This matters. What matters? The prospect of a new drug that is safe before it is brought to the market and after it is brought to the market. This matters. This is important. Why? Because this is something which can reduce the risk that study participants face during the first in-human clinical trial. So the possibility of this new drug, which is safe before and after it's brought to the market, can actually be an important thing when it comes, because it can reduce. It has the ability to. It may have the ability to reduce the risk for people who are participating in clinical trials. So that means the drug is not in the market, but people are participating in the clinical trial. For them, that drug is safe because it is safe before it's approved. And it will also minimize risk for patients once the patients once it's approved for clinical use. All of you go through it. Come on. So based on what the algorithm has already learned and based on whatever data, new data the researchers have fed it, the algorithm has come up with the prospect of a possibility of a new drug that will be safe for patients before it is approved to be released in the market and after it is released in the market, which means this drug is less risky for the people who are participating in clinical trials, and it is also less risky for patients once the drug is approved for use. So we cannot usually a drug before it passes clinical trials, we cannot say it's good. But this algorithm has come up with the possibility of a drug that is safe during the clinical trials. For sure, it's safe. Possibility of such a drug, and after we have released it, even then it's safe. Okay, so that means the participants who participate in clinical studies, they are at less risk, and people who take the drug after it's approved for use, they are also at less risk. All of you go through it. Don't forget what you have read. Come on. Just a very small paragraph. Focus and read. Come on. Okay. All right. Now, let's have a look at the options. Remember what you have read. Don't forget it. Okay. So, Nivya, can you read each option with the question? We need to figure out what point is made about the drug algorithm. Come on. Computer algorithm.
In the sixth paragraph, the writer makes the point that the computer algorithm has already proved its ability to improve the safety of the subject of research projects.
Did they say that the algorithm has already proved? It is proved. It is proved that it has the ability to improve the safety of the participants of research projects. Have they said that? It's proved. No, they said it's a possibility, not proved. It's a prospect. So that's why A is not the answer. Okay. Can the algorithm help with the safety of the subjects of a research project? Yes. But is it proved? No. So that's not given. Okay, next one.
The writer makes the point that the computer algorithm has had to be regularly updated with information in order to make progress.
In the sixth paragraph, have they told us that the algorithm, they had to regularly update the information that is given to the algorithm in order to make progress. Come on, what do you guys think?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
No,
all right.
that's-
Okay, next one.
There is chance also.
Yeah, there is a chance, but let's see. Next option, Nivya.
The writer makes the point that the computer algorithm is likely to change the way that patient studies are conducted in future.
Did they say that the algorithm can may change how patient studies are conducted in future?
No, ma'am.
They said
No.
it can give less risk to patients, but no. They said they can reduce the risk for participants. But did they say it may change the way studies are conducted?
No.
Not mentioned.
No, they said it can make, if it has come up with talking about, or it is mentioning the future prospect of a potential drug that may be safe for people before and after. And that means study participants can be safe. But did they mention that the algorithm can change the way studies are conducted? No. They said it can make, when they talk about a possibility of a drug that is safe before and after, it means such a drug will make it less risky for participants. But it never said it could change the way patient studies are conducted. No. Next one, Nivya.
The writer makes the point that the computer algorithm would represent a major commercial breakthrough for drugs manufacturers.
Did they say that the computer algorithm would give a commercial breakthrough? Commercial breakthrough means a huge success for drug manufacturers commercially.
No.
Nothing.
So what is your answer?
Option B.
Why is option B your answer? That it has to be regularly updated.
Update.
See, the algorithm used what it has already learned and used new data fed to it by the researchers. So that means is the algorithm using only what it knows? No, it's also using the data that's given to it by the researchers. That means it is being regularly updated with new information. That's how it makes progress. That's why it came up with this prediction. Did you get the point? This is a tricky question. Go through it later. Nowhere they have said, they have used the phrase updated. They have said based on what the algorithm already knows and based on the new information fed to it by the researchers. So when you give new information, what are you doing? You're updating it. So that's why B is the answer. We need to figure out what point is made about the algorithm. The point made is it uses the data it already knows. It also uses the data that's new data given to it by the researchers. So that means based on that it has come up with ideas. So that's why B is the answer. Very good question. You need to be very careful. Come on, go through it. We just have one more question to go. So go through it. Come on. So Ashwini, you feel like D is the answer, but nowhere it talked about drug manufacturers. Commercial breakthrough means commercial success. When does something become a commercial success? When things start earning money. So did they ever say that the algorithm represents a huge commercial success, a huge chance to earn money for drug manufacturers? Ashwini, did they say that? No, they did not. Nowhere they talked about the drug manufacturers. No. The drug manufacturers earning money, becoming commercially successful. No, they said the algorithm is talking about a possibility of a new drug that is safe for patients before the pharmaceutical company brings it to the market and after the companies bring it to the market. Nowhere it talked about companies earning money or becoming commercially successful. No. So that's why D is not the answer. Just because pharmaceutical companies are mentioned, that doesn't make D or option D your answer. Nowhere they said major commercial breakthrough, major commercial success. Okay, so that's why D is not the answer. You need to be careful. That's why I told you today, the options are tricky. Extract is easy to understand. Okay, all right. On that note, let's go to the last question. Surya, can you read the last question for me? Come on.
Yes, ma'am. What conclusion regarding the algorithm does the writer comes to in the final paragraph?
What conclusion regarding the algorithm does the writer come to in the final paragraph? So we need to find out what?
The conclusion.
Conclusion about the algorithm.
About the algorithm.
About the algorithm. Made by the writer. Made by the writer. Okay, so I want you to carefully read. Let me just take the paragraph. So the writer is making some conclusion about the algorithm at the end. So we need to find out what is that conclusion. Final question for today. I need your attention. Go through the 7th paragraph. All of you, come on. Okay. Surya, can you read till here? Yes.
Yeah. So, how accurate overall was the algorithm in terms of predicting likelihood of a particular drug causing an adverse reactions? Until last year, the program had only learned from information on adverse reaction from a single 12-month period and 6 years earlier.
Okay, so now the writer is like, how accurate, how precise was the algorithm when it comes to predicting the possibility of a drug causing an adverse reaction? So the writer is, how accurate is the algorithm when it comes to predicting side effects? So and then he goes on to say that, the writer goes on to say that until last year, until the year before, the program only learned from information on adverse reactions from a 12-month period, 6 years earlier. So until last month, whatever information this algorithm learned, it was from adverse reactions reported over a 1 year period 6 months earlier, 6 years earlier. So 6 years earlier, they report over 1 year period, they reported on various adverse reactions, and the algorithm learned only learned information of that particular thing. Okay, over 1 year, 6 years ago, over 1 year period, over 12-month period, information on adverse reactions based on that, only that much the program had learned until last year. So this is confusing. The sentence is confusing. You need to be careful. Until last year, till last year, the program only had information on negative reactions that was reported over 12-month period 6 years before. So 6 years before, over a 1 year period, they reported on a lot of adverse reaction. That was the information that the program had learned until last year. Okay, continue reading till here.
The team then fed in a figure from the next 5 years, some of which revealed side effects that hadn't been observed before from a particular drugs. Sure enough, many of the algorithm previously unproven predictions matched the recent real-world reports.
So until last year, the algorithm only had knowledge of what happened over a 1 year period 6 years ago. But then what happened afterwards? The team gave it information from the next 5 years, and it revealed which showed some side effect that hadn't been observed from before from particular drugs. So then afterwards, so 1 second, let me just write this point down. Not sure enough means not surprising. It's not something surprising. Okay, it was expected. Okay, now, so what happened until last year? The algorithm only knew about the information that happened over a 1 year period 6 years ago. Then what happened? The research team gave the algorithm information of the next 5 years. And what happened? The algorithm showed side effect that had never been observed before. It gave them information about side effect that had never been observed from certain drugs. Okay, not surprisingly, sure enough, many of the algorithms previously unproven predictions match the recent real world reports. So what happened earlier, it only had information about what happened 6 years ago. Then the team fed it information for the next 5 years. Then the algorithm predicted some side effect that they had never observed before. And not surprisingly, whatever the results that they got now matched with the previous prediction that they could improve. Why? Because previously the algorithm gave predictions, but the algorithm did not have information. Now, when they fed new information and they got results, even the unproven predictions, match these reports. Because now the algorithm had some data to compare. Before, it only had 6 years. 6 years. What happened 6 years ago? Based on that, they had made a lot of predictions. And when they fed new data, it made some predictions which had never been observed before. Also, not surprisingly, one more thing was that previously unproven predictions also were proven to be correct when they fed the algorithm new information. Come on, continue reading till the end now. Yes.
Yeah, what seemed like a false positive prediction proved not to be false at all when the new reports become available, said Lutzwort. However, it is worth bearing in mind that although the researchers have strengthened the model they could
as much as they
as much as they could, it still assess less than 1% of human genome. The origin of the problematic proteins involved adverse reaction. In the meantime, the scientists can be used, improve and build upon the model, which is posted for free online.
So I want all of your attention here. So what happened before? The algorithm only knew what happened 6 years ago. Then they fed new data, and the algorithm gave predictions that about the drugs reaction that they had never observed before. And also, not surprisingly, the previously what was unproven, previous prediction that they could not prove, that turned out to be matching the real world reports, because they fed the algorithm new reports. So based on that, even the unproven predictions came to be true. Now, previously, what was considered to be false positive, okay, proved to be not false at all. Even previous prediction, what they thought to be false positive, was realized to be true when the new reports came. Why? Because so the algorithm, with whatever knowledge it had on what happened 6 years ago, it had made a lot of predictions. Now, when they gave it new data, it made new predictions which they had never expected, and along with that, without not surprisingly, what they thought to be unproven started to be what the algorithm what algorithms predictions which they thought to be unproven matched the recent events, because they fed it recent data. Then what seemed like false positive before, it turned out to be it turned out to be true when the new reports became available. Okay, so algorithm made a lot of predictions based on what it had. When they fed it new data, it's it started giving new unexpected predictions. It started giving its unproven predictions started becoming true. What they thought to be false positive turned to be true. Then the writer goes on to say, however, it's important to keep in mind that it's worth bearing in mind that although the researchers have strengthened the model as much as they could, although the researchers have tried their best to make the algorithm as strong as they can, it only assesses or evaluates less than 1% of the human genome. Genome is the gene, this one, right? Which is the origin of the problematic proteins involved in adverse reaction. So yes, the predictions that were not proven before started being proven. What they thought to be false positive started being true. It also revealed side effects that they never expected. Yes, when it got new data, that is correct. But you need to keep in mind one thing, that even though the researchers have tried their best to make the algorithm as strong as possible, the algorithm still only evaluates 1% of the genetic picture of the human genome. That is a genetic picture. The human genome is the origin of the proteins that causes these adverse reactions, and it only assesses or evaluates only the 1% of that human genome, which is related to the proteins that causes adverse reactions. So they are saying, so remember that. Then they are like, in the meantime, but meanwhile, the scientists can use the algorithm, improve it, and build upon it, because it's posted free online. All of you go through it. So the writer is like, how accurate is the algorithm? So and he's like, you know what? And the writer is like, you know what? The algorithm only knew what happened until last year. It only knew what happened 6 years ago. And we recently gave it new information and it started making predictions. And based on that, we got predictions of side effects that we never thought of before. Not surprisingly, we also, whatever was unproven started to be, to be proven to be true and matching the real world reports. And what seemed to be false positive became true. But keep in mind, the researchers are trying their best, but right now the algorithm has the ability to only evaluate 1% of the human genome. Human genome is the gene picture of the humans. There is that something like that. Okay, and that human genome, which is the origin of the proteins that causes the side effects, it only has 1% of the human genome. Based on that, everything is going on. So keep in mind that it does not have the full human genome. It only has the 1% of it. Again, human genome is the one that is responsible for the proteins that causes the side effects. Okay, but the scientists, in the meantime, even though that is the case, the scientists are trying their best to build and improve the algorithm, and it is also posted for free online. Okay, are all of you clear? Do you have any questions about it? And remember the meaning of sure enough. Okay, not for this question generally. When someone says sure enough, that means they were sure. It's not something unexpected. It's just unsurprising, not surprising. Okay, all right. All of you go through it. Come on. Last question, then we are done. Come on. Okay, now we need to figure out the conclusion. Can you read the options one by one? Come on.
Yeah. The accuracy of its predictions has yet to be confirmed.
It says the algorithm. The accuracy. Have they not confirmed the accuracy yet? No, they have, right? False positive started being true, unproven became true. So that means it's confirmed. The accuracy is confirmed. Okay, so next one.
Its ability to predict side effects has exceeded all expectations.
Did they say that the ability of the algorithm to predict side effect has gone beyond everybody's expectations? Have they said that? No, exceeded all expectations. No, they just said it gave predictions that we did not expect. They did not say the ability of the algorithm to predict side effect has gone beyond everybody's expectations. No, nothing like that. They just mentioned when we gave new data, it gave us side effects that we did not expect. That's it. It did not say it exceeded everybody's expectations. Its ability, no, nothing like that. Next one, next option.
It is still making its predictions using relatively limited data.
Is that the confusion? Is that the conclusion? Wait a second. Is that the conclusion that the algorithm is still making its prediction using only limited amount of data, comparatively limited data? What do you guys think?
No.
Smita, others, what do you guys think? Okay. Last one.
Yeah, there is still work to be done to improve its reliability.
No. Reliability. Reliability means trustworthiness, dependability. Have they said that we need to improve it more for us to trust it, to be reliable? No. Okay, I'll tell you. Jose, I see your answer. Yes. In the meantime, scientists can use, improve, and build upon it. Okay, they never said we don't rely. Okay, when something is reliable, reliability means the ability to, reliability is when something is trustworthy, we call it is reliable. We can trust it. So in the paragraph, have they said that? They have said we need to work more. Yes. But have they said that we need to do a lot of work to improve its reliability? No, nobody is suspecting its trustworthiness because it has proven again and again based on the information given that, the things what it says is trustworthy. Okay, that's the paragraph. So please pay close attention here. D is not the answer. Last sentence, have they talked about we need to do, the scientists can use, improve and build upon for it to be trusted? No, we just need to keep working on this model. That's it. They have not said we need to work on it more in order for it to improve its trustworthiness. No. Answer is C. My question is why that is. None of you have chosen C as the answer, but I'm telling you C is the answer, but tell me why that is true. Read it. Algorithm is still making its predictions using relatively limited amount of data. Why is that?
Can you show the passage, ma'am?
Yeah. Read the sentence. Researchers are trying their best to improve the model. Nobody is questioning its trustworthiness. We can depend on the data because time and again we know that whatever was false came to be true, whatever was unproven came to be proven. So we are not worried about the trustworthiness. But what is still a problem, that the algorithm is still evaluating only 1% of the human genome. Human genome is responsible for all the proteins, problematic proteins that causes adverse reactions. But the algorithm only has the ability right now to only assess 1% of the human genome. So that means, does it have all the data? No, it only has 1% of the data. So that's why C is the answer. Okay, and chose and others, I can see many of you chose the last option, but C. So right now it only has 1%, but in the meantime, scientists can use it. If we don't trust something, will we use it? No, they can use it. They can improve it. They can make it better. They can build on it. That's it. He never said that we don't trust it. They need to. We can use it. We can improve it, and we can build on it. That's it. Because it's available for free in the available free online. But nowhere the writer said that we need to do more work, still need to work to improve its reliability. No. If they had, if there is still work to be done, full stop, we could have chosen it. But to improve its reliability, nobody is not trusting it. Everybody is trusting it because whatever data we provide, it is able to give us good predictions. So it's trustworthy. So that's why the writer says the scientists can use it. No problem using it because it's trustworthy. Okay, but it is only using 1% of the data. Okay, and strengthen it. When you strengthen something, that doesn't mean it's bad. We can use it, but we can make it better. So when you strengthen something, it does not mean it's unreliable. It is reliable, but let's make it let's make it more strong. That's what is said. But nobody is doubting its reliability. That's why D is not the answer. Okay, this is, you need to be very careful. You need to go through this question later. Okay, all of you, I understand why you chose D, but nobody, reliability is the dependency, ability to depend on it. Okay, so when you don't depend on something, the writer would have never said scientists can continue to use it. Okay, use is the use means we can use it, we can rely on it, we can depend on it, and we can improve it at the same time. Okay, so it's not only about improvement, it's also about using. So that's why we cannot take option D. But it only uses 1% of the human genome. So that is the conclusion. Even though we are proving things, it's becoming much stronger, and scientists are working, have strengthened this, have strengthened it. The writer did not say are going to strengthen it, have strengthened the model, but it only uses 1%. Okay, so that's why the C is the answer. Okay, this is a very good material, especially the options. I want you guys to do this once again and go through everything. Then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Okay, so Jasmine, Jishin, Smita, Nitya, Surya, Manju, Jo, Asma, Ashwini, are all of you clear? Okay, yes, so here extract is easy to understand. One or two places it's one or two places it's difficult, but overall extract is easy to understand. But the problem is with the options. So I want you to go through it. This, and again, latest material. I want you to work through it, go through it, very good material. And the topic is also something different. So go through it. And if you have any questions, get back to me. Okay. And evening, we will be having listening part A. Again, I'll be using a new material. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for today. Once again, go through it. And if you have any questions, reach out to me. Okay. Right now, I'm not asking your doubts. Later, if you have any questions, reach out to me. Okay. So that's it for now. I'll see you guys in the evening. Okay, all right. And one more thing, I'm sorry. Today we don't have Richa ma'am's session. She's on leave, so you won't be having her session in the afternoon. Okay, only evening, my session at 5 o'clock. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll see you guys in the evening. Okay, all right. Thank you.